Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today, we're going to answer the question, are you too late for crypto? And where are we at in the adoption curve? And what can we expect going in the future? We're going to look at some data analysis and some news from the CEO of Binance, Richard Ting, to give you some insight as to what sparked this question. Stay tuned. All right, TLDR, no, you are not too late. And TLDR, you are still literally super early. You are literally, if you're watching this video, you are an early adopter. If this is 2024 when you're watching this video. Now, at the end of this cycle, I think we will actually no longer be early adopters. We will be, from the innovators to the early adopters. And that vernacular will make sense when I show you the S-curve adoption model. But what sparked this was a conversation on Altcoin Daily with Aaron and the CEO Richard. And remember, I've been talking about Binance. I think it's still a sleeper play, and I know a lot of people don't like it because it is centralized, and that's for another video. But I believe going into the future, once regulation is in play, centralized chains like Binance will be able to move further, farther, faster, because they are in control of all the upgrades and don't have to vote on anything. It's not DeFi, it is just trading the old guard for a new guard, but it will be able to innovate and make changes a lot faster. So I think once there's no more big brother with the SEC and unfair regulations, or just non-transparent or no regulations at all, I think the chains with more centralization will actually be able to execute the fastest. Now, still a big Bitcoin bull, and that's what this channel is about, but that's just to give you a reason of why I still like Binance. But first, let's go into this question that Aaron asked him.
Asset accumulation that's still there, including real estate, etc.
Binance today is around 220 million users. How do you get to 2 billion?
Well, I think it's really focused on continuing.
Now, I actually don't care about the answer. I just, when I heard that number, it made me think, it's like, oh, wait a minute, 220 million. That is just a fraction of the number of people in the world. And that put my brain down a rabbit hole of, okay, how many people are in the world? How many have crypto? What's the equivalent of crypto? That'd be banks. How many people have banks? Blah, 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 right? So we're going to actually dive into those numbers to find out where we are in that S-curve adoption model. So basically, Aaron just asked him, how do you 10x from here, going from 220 million to 2 billion? And that's a legitimate question. So that made me decide to look at Binance and like kind of how they rack and stack. So Binance, against some of the top 10 centralized exchanges, pretty much runs everything. 40%. It's insane. And with the recent news about BNY Mellon and Coinbase, looks like Coinbase may be even taking a smaller chunk because BNY Mellon will be self-custodying Bitcoin, but that's for another video. But it doesn't matter. The point is that there's plenty of room to grow with where Binance is at in regards to market share and compared to everybody else. Like, you can literally add up everybody else together and then they basically equate to what Binance has. Like, that's almost what I'm saying here with 40%. So that's nuts. So I don't think they're going to be dropping out of the race anytime soon. And that means they definitely have room to grow into this 10x of 2 billion users. Why the hell not? So we look at another chart. Crypto users by app on 2023. It's 200 million for Binance, and Coinbase at 105. And then you got the stragglers. So we see they are dominating. And the reason I'm looking at Binance again is I'm bullish on them, but just for the simple fact of looking at centralized exchanges as the digital equivalent of what we're familiar in TradFi with banks. So banks and credit unions are being replaced by these centralized exchanges to get you into crypto, because there's no other way to get in crypto. Now, granted, you still have to have a bank. Well, you don't have to. There's definitely ways to get in, but from your bank to a centralized exchange is by far the easiest. So that led me to start looking at how many crypto exchanges are out there. And we come to BitDegree, and BitDegree says there is 1,800 crypto exchanges. I was like, is that a lot? Is that a little? Where are we at? Well, like I said, a crypto exchange is basically the equivalent of a TradFi bank. So then we can look at the fact that there are 44,000 banks and credit unions around the world. And of those 44,000, approximately 76% of the global population has access to banks or use banks, so to speak. So that gives me some numbers to play with in regards to where we're at just for banking. So 76% of the population has a bank. So there's still about 25, 24 that don't use banks. And then this is the current world population. So we just call it 8.2 billion for, simplification processes. Now, we see how many, so 44,000 total banking institutions, 1,800 centralized exchanges. Now that is counting the DeFi on rails, but we'll just stick to centralized exchanges. And then we look at the total number of people in the world, and then we can start moving down the chain and look at, well, how many people are actually using crypto? Now, according to multiple sources, we're sitting at just over 560 million crypto users. This one says the same thing. And with those two, that can tell us where we're at on this chart. And that's where this picture comes in. So we are actually sitting at around 7%. I'll bring up a Excel spreadsheet that'll make more sense, but literally 7. And that's exactly what they have written on this one. I'll show you the actual numbers. 6.8% of the total population is using crypto. So, and there's another one that says 560 million. So I definitely think we'll probably get to the 1 billion by the end of this cycle. So we will double that number. That's what a lot of people are calling for. And that's where this S-curve adoption actually comes in. But when we look at the percentages, where you see on this side, market share. So when you get to about 84% market share, you reach the peak on the Rogers adoption curve, and it starts to kind of still climbs up, but just kind of slows down. So this is that initial wave you want to capture. And like I said, we're sitting at 7%. So we are still between the innovators and early adopters. So you could call yourself an early adopter at this stage, since 2.5% is early adoption. And then a total of 15%, 16 make up the innovators and early adopters. So we're like right smack dab in the middle of this. So I'd say, yeah, we're like literally right here. And that means there's a lot of upside potential to capture if, as Rob Powell says, you don't fuck this up. Meaning you're not chasing the cult-like community meme tokens that are just using as exit liquidity. And you're not buying a bunch of useless monkey JPEGs. Now, granted, some of those could be worth something one day. But if you just focus on your blue chips and stack those, then you can ride this wave. So that's why I made this picture here saying we're seeing a 7%. And here's just another one of the S-curve adoption. This was an article from 2021 talking about where we're at in countries. And this could be a little misleading because when you look at, where's this other, there's a country one, it might be here, that shows where countries are at in regards to adoption. But it makes it seem like, yeah, we look at this. It seems as though we should be much further along. This was in 2020. It's like, oh, 32% use crypto, 4%. But remember, this is just a sample survey, and it's just from certain countries. So we still have a lot of opportunity for growth because this has not hit mass scale adoption globally by any means. And then we look at this chart, it'll make more sense here. Let's blow this up. So all I did was take those exact numbers. Global population, 44,000 banks, 76% of the population have a bank or use a bank. So that's that 76% times the total global population. And there are 1,800 centralized exchanges that we saw on that other site. And that means that there's only 4% centralized exchange or crypto on-ramps basically for adoption. And that is 4% of the 44,000 banks. So if we get to that 50% level that we saw for the S-curve right there at the peak, then we'd be looking at least 22,000 centralized exchanges or crypto exchanges to some degree. So we got a long ways to go before this is easily adopted. Now, again, to get to, we may not even see 22,000 because you go back to Binance owning 40% of the existing clients. It stands to believe in my head that they would continue to own a large amount of adoption share. Now, there could be some new centralized exchanges, on-ramps come up that do grab some of it, but I believe at this stage, the battle of the fittest exchanges is already underway, and it's going to be one of the ones, where is that? One of the ones that are already out here and probably in the top 10. Now, granted, every cycle you can see the top 10 cryptos moving around, but I feel like with a centralized exchange, since it's like a bank, when's the last time you changed your bank? And like, there's never really a need to, right? So I feel like this is kind of it. There's definitely could be some new ones popping up here and there, but your top 10, top 20 will probably just continue to be the gorilla in the room dominating the market share and onboarding of the remaining of those users. So here we are sitting at 7% of global adoption and 9% based off of the number of people that actually have a banking account. So you can say, 8% is right there in the middle, and that's where we're at in regards to crypto adoption as a whole. And again, when you look at this chart, we are literally prime, just call it here the 10 mark. Like, you get to ride this uptrend. And this is what Raoul Pal's talking about regarding 100 trillion asset class by the end of 2030, maybe 2032. I can't remember which one. But right now, we're just sitting at 2.25 trillion. So that question that Aaron asked Michael Tang about Binance getting to 2 billion users, well, that is definitely likely because 2 billion is still only 30% of the total number of people that are using banks. Now, will Binance get all 2 billion by that stage? I don't know, by 2030, 2032, who knows? But that's literally what the S-curve adoption model is meant to show you, is how quickly things can just spike up. So again, the TLDR for this entire video is that you are early. If you are watching this, you can still stack sats, even with Bitcoin sitting at 63K, 64K, it is still an amazing opportunity. It may look like it is overpriced or too expensive for you, but buying a fraction of a Bitcoin, aka a Satoshi, is definitely something you can get started with. 1/10,000th of a Bitcoin, is that right? Tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Yeah, 1/10,000th of a Bitcoin is $6.39. Now, that should be feasible for most people in the world. Now, granted, like I said, 70% of the population lives in poverty. Poverty is defined by making less than $10 a day. This could be somebody's full day's worth of work, being able to buy 1/10,000th of a Bitcoin, but sacrificing 1 out of 30 days a month to buy an asset that is going to continue to appreciate and that you are super early in, why the hell not? Because anything else you're looking at is literally just gambling, and you are more than likely going to get wrecked. I know everybody wants to get rich overnight, and that's why all these influencers shilling all these shit projects and shit tokens, and some people are definitely getting rich, but for every one that gets rich, there's 100 that get wrecked to pay that person. Whereas with Bitcoin, over time, if you're willing to ride the waves, this has proven to be the asset to basically capture the downside of everything else. As Michael Saylor said, everything else goes to zero against Bitcoin. So hopefully these numbers, statistics, this data, looking at this from an outside in perspective of just seeing the S-curve adoption of crypto, and I say Bitcoin specifically because that kind of leads crypto, but the asset class as a whole is 100 trillion. And again, betting on the exchanges is also another safe way to capitalize on the outcomes of this. So even your OKXs, your Coinbase, Mexi, those I definitely feel like will still be here in the next cycle. And if they have their own tokens, things of that nature, that is a safe bet if you're looking to be a degen. As I mentioned in another video, during the gold rush, the people that got rich were the ones selling informations and selling the shovels and the supplies, like the overalls and stuff like that. So you need to be a part of that regime, and then you can minimize the downside and, like Ralph Howe said, not fuck this up. All right, that's all I got. Hope that provided some value, some clarity, some insight, some hopium in this upcoming bull run banana zone. We are here. All right, smash that HBO special. Help brother out. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live daily and achieve your boss. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.